Your boos mean nothing to me. I've seen what makes you cheer. This is actually a quote from Rick and Morty where Rick says that to the crowd in one of the episodes. And it's the realest shit ever because what's interesting is that the exact same people that hate on the people that actually try something are the same people who binge watch content of brain rot for the next 8 hours or for 8 hours of the day. It's the exact same group of people. Sometimes you just have to ask yourself, who is actually criticizing you? Is it whatever the person said to you? Or is it something they're just projecting onto you? It's very often we just kind of have to look at what's behind the veil. Like, how does the other person live their life? What are their choices and habits? For example, right, let's take a career setting. So the same people that tell you, don't start a business, dude, it's risky, don't try this, you're gonna be in debt, or it can fail, it can ruin your life. All of this bullshit is said by the exact same person that has been unhappily working a stable, not in this economy, but stable 9 to 5 job, and hates their life, lives paycheck to paycheck, but yes, they're the ones to criticize you and tell you, don't start a business, bro. Because what's the worst that can happen? If all the businesses that I try and do don't work out, my worst case scenario is I can always get a job. It's that simple. There are plenty of jobs for people who actually want to work. Despite how hard it is to find a job these days, it's still possible. Somebody that wants to will get it. I don't care if there's 1,000 applications. Why can't you be the one who is chosen? So the point, what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter. There's always a worst case scenario, which is somebody else's best case scenario. Now, let's look at a positive example, right? Somebody who is in fitness. A person who is in great shape will never shame an unfit person who is trying to better themselves. I am all for shaming fat people for being fat. I mean, maybe it's unacceptable here in the West because people get offended, but everywhere else in the world, it's unacceptable. So many cultures and societies will shame you for being fat. That's why their societies and cultures are healthier. Anyway, that's a bit of a tangent. But the point is, if I see a fat person at the gym, all I can think is good for them. I hope they stick to it. I hope they do this at least for the next 5 to 10 years and actually see results. I wish nothing but the best for them. And the only people that hate on somebody trying, let's say you got a fat friend, or maybe you're the fat one, and you're going to the gym, and your so-called friends are making fun of you. Oh, look at this guy. He thinks he's going to get a six-pack by the summer. That's the same guy who wishes he had the courage to go and do what you're doing. That's the reality. And something very interesting, actually, because some people will say that's arrogant to think that way. Like, hey, how could you speak so confidently and be wrong? Or that's what people think. Or how are some people so arrogant and their voice is heard? Well, when I learned to communicate, I'm actually an introvert. I was the worst at communicating, especially if it involves a group of people, new people, meeting a new person. I was the absolute worst at it. Like, I'm talking quiet kid in the class. That's what I mean. And when I actually learned some communication skills and started to speak up, I completely understood, the other side of the game. I was the guy hating on the arrogant person. I was like, why does that kid, let's say you're in class, right, and that one guy speaks up and the teacher loves him, but he's a dumbass. He might be saying the wrong answers, but the world doesn't reward the right person. It rewards more or less the confident, the right, or not the right, the most bravest person to say what they think is right for them. And that causes people sometimes to believe what they're saying because what they believe is true, because they're just confident and they're ready to back it up. But the point is, I was that person on the end thinking, as a quiet kid, why does this guy get all the attention? Or, I started on my journey in like working out, trying to better myself, and then seeing all these, pussy boys. I can't call them any other way, getting all the girls, and I thought, the girls don't see me putting in the effort. I mean, I don't have any results to show for it. So I'd be like, why do they get them? Why? Because they're confident and they're the loudest. They put themselves out there, so they get more opportunities. Doesn't mean they're better or in one way or another, but that's what the world rewards. And I used to hate that because I could, deep down, I'll admit that it's because low key, I wished I was that guy who could speak up and put myself out there for everybody else to hear, so that, I can stand up in front of the class or in front of the room and, voice my opinion and know actually how to put it into words where people listen. And the interesting thing is, when I actually learned to do that, it was exactly that. I was like, all right, this is what the other side looks like. And back when I was teaching lessons in the office and, running all kinds of meetings, I just thought, wow, I never thought I'd be able to do this. But it's not the fact that, the arrogant person or the one that speaks up is evil or something. It's just that they put their foot forward, and so they're essentially creating space for themselves. So they take up space, then the world rewards that. There's no virtue, there's no reward in being a smart guy or knowing the answer but never speaking up, because you're just not using your potential. The guy who has less potential than you but speaks up and uses it is going to go way further in life. And so that's what I thought to myself, and honestly, that's what I started doing. But going back to the original quote, right? Every time someone is booing you for anything you're doing, just look at what makes up their life, right? You can look at a person and see, this guy's gonna shit on you for trying to eat healthy, but they eat and drink like Red Bulls all day. What does that make them? Is that the person you want to be learning from? And at the same time, these are just my personal thoughts. I'm saying this because this applies to me. And you might be sitting there on the other end thinking, why should I listen to this guy? Meaning to me. This is just his opinion. Let's look at his life. What does his life look like? All right. You can make your judgments based on that. That's fine. Or what is this guy's habits? It doesn't matter. But the point is, people's opinions become a lot less valuable as soon as you realize what the kind of person it is, what kind of person is living that life. This helped me when I was doing sales. As you know, in sales, you get rejected so many times before you actually hear a yes from somebody. And guess what? A lot of the times rejection isn't pleasant. It's often people saying things against you personally. How could they say something personal against me if they don't know me? Exactly. Look at their life. A lot of people who talk shit are miserable. I said this in one of the other videos, the most chopped people talk the most shit. This is very similar to that. So honestly, it's a great quote. When I heard it, I just thought, all right, that's so realistic. And knowing this, I'll be honest, most people actually live on autopilot and don't know what the hell's going on. And these are the people that criticize you from their mom's couch, and on top of that offer no solutions. Their life is no better. It just makes all their comments worthless. It makes all their, whatever they comment on you, whatever they say about you, whatever they say to you, it disintegrates. It's immediately worthless. So anytime you guys are actually trying to do something for yourself, it doesn't matter if it's starting a business, going to the gym, bettering yourself in any way, reading a book, eating good food, posting content, whatever it is, just evaluate who are the people criticizing you. And very often you'll find that it's only the losers who actually criticize you. So their opinion doesn't count anyway. Thanks for watching.